Hello and welcome to this video where I talk about the best settings for the HX90. Well, the first thing I would do is I would put it into shutter priority mode, and the reason being you're going to use this camera with its zoom, and it has a massive zoom. It zooms up to 720mm, and when you're zooming that far you're going to need a high shutter speed, otherwise you're going to get quite a blurry and useless image, particularly at the telephoto end of the zoom range. Going through the menus, I would of course set the image size to 18 megapixels, which is the highest. I would keep the aspect ratio at 4:3, and I would keep the quality at fine. Drive mode I would keep as single shooting. The reason being, it's very unlikely you're going to need any of these modes, and there are a lot of drive modes here. It's unlikely you're going to use continuous, it's unlikely you're going to want a self timer, it's unlikely you're going to bracket your exposure or your white balance or things like that. So I think just keep it simple and keep it on single shooting mode. Bracket setting I wouldn't worry about. Flash mode I wouldn't worry about, and I probably wouldn't use it with the flash on. As I said, you're probably going to be using it for its zoom and getting in things in a wide angle and a telephoto angle, and so you're very unlikely to need the flash. Red eye reduction I would keep off. Focus mode I would keep as single shot AF. The alternatives in shutter priority mode are manual and DFM, which you're probably not going to use. Focus area, this is a very interesting option, this mobile spot, because you can move it about and you can pick to focus on whatever you want. Once you put your point with flexible and you take your image, then the next time you go to take an image, it's in the same place. So one of the problems with focus area is if you want to change your focus area, you need to go into the functions, you need to go to center, then you need to go back to the functions and you need to go to M, and then you should be able to set it again. But that's a lot of hassle, and by this point you've probably missed your shot. So probably the easiest thing to do is just to have it on center, and then it's always in the center. I would leave that as auto. Whether you want an illumination lamp to come on or not, I'd leave that as auto. ISO I would set to the following. I would leave it in auto, but I would set it as the minimum of 80 and the maximum of 800. I've done some ISO tests and you can see those, and in the ISO tests above 800 the picture started to get quite murky. So I would go with from 80 to 800, where the camera automatically decides what to do. Metering modes, I would probably go with center, just so you can focus on what your subject is and get the right exposure. Multi-metering will look at the whole scene as a whole. Spot metering will look at the center part you focused on. And center is probably somewhere in the middle of the two, so I would go with center. White balance, you can pick a custom white balance, but if you're out and about, you're probably going to find that auto white balance is just going to be the simplest for you, so I'd put it in auto white balance. This DRO and auto HDR, probably leave it on auto. I probably wouldn't have HDR. The reason being, if you have this HDR, it's not going to be very good for moving images. This is not going to have any dynamic range enhancements, but this one will, and this one will be suitable for moving images. I'm not sure what L1 to 5 does, so I would put it on auto. Creative style I will leave as standard. The only one I may be tempted to go with would be black and white. That's the only time I would ever use that. Picture effects I would keep as off completely. High ISO noise reduction, I would set that to low. It's not going to make too much difference because you're setting your ISO to not go over 800, so it's probably not going to make any difference. Center lock on AF I would leave as on. Smile and face detect, I would set it to registered faces. Now I'm just going to go back to the menu and move across, and if you go down to face recognition, you can register faces of the people you know. You're probably not too bothered about taking pictures of strangers and getting their faces in focus, but you probably are bothered about taking pictures of your friends and family and getting them in focus and having easy autofocus on their face. So go here, go to new registration, and all you have to do is get their face in the box and take a picture, and then the camera will remember their face and it will automatically focus on their face in any scenes. Self-portrait timer, you can have it as on or off. I would leave it as on. When you flip up the screen to do a selfie, you've got a nice countdown timer, so I would leave that on. So you can see we get 3, 2, 1, and then a selfie is taken. Movie button, I would leave as movie mode only. So you can have it that whatever mode you're in, if you press the movie button, then it will take a movie, but I would have it as movie mode only. The reason being, it's quite easy just to accidentally touch this button and switch to movies, maybe when you don't want to. When you want to take a movie, you will put it into movie mode. You get this pop-up finder, which is excellent. So if I pop that out, I can now look through here. Can you see that? Let me just refocus. So you get this really good viewfinder, which is going to be excellent for bright sunny days, and also gives you another point of contact if you want to keep steady. One feature that I quite like is when you put down the viewfinder, it turns the camera off. You can turn that off if you want to, but I don't see why you would. If you're popping the viewfinder up to use it, then when you pop it down, it's probably because you've finished with your camera and you're going to put it away. So I would keep that setting where it is as default.